You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, April 1st show. I'm here to empower our community, providing you with opportunities and solutions when it comes to your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money or to get connected with the guests I have on the show. Right now, I have Dennis Graves with Newcastle Accounting and Bookkeeping, LLC. We're going to be talking about small businesses and the need for a professional bookkeeper. Dennis, thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, all first-time guests, all guys. It's an awesome day here at the Money Hour in studio. A little bit about Dennis. The vision and mission of Newcastle Accounting Bookkeeping is twofold. First is to come alongside small businesses in the effort to migrate the enormous cost and burdens that these entrepreneurs have. The skyrocketing costs associated with healthcare and retirement benefits in particular are hindering the growth of small businesses in the local community that they serve, along with taxes on both the federal and state level, which place an additional burden upon the backs of small businesses. Businesses, both small and large, are required to match federal tax for Social Security and Medicare and their employees. In addition, businesses are required to contribute to state tax for unemployment insurance and labor industry, which are all costs associated with hiring employees. Additional businesses related to tax include a Department of Revenue tax, sales and use tax, annual licenses, and many other associated with maintaining a business. Operating a successful small business is no easy task. The second aspect is to provide an opportunity for individuals to begin their career in the accounting and bookkeeping field. Many people coming out of college have spent considerable time and effort acquiring the necessary knowledge that can assist businesses with managing and maintaining the most essential function of a business, the financials. Also are numerous individuals who have gained considerable knowledge through work experience, which can be significant benefit to a business. These are two vast resources that can provide enormous value to a business. So, Dennis, thanks again for coming in and really putting a shine on business owners and needing a professional bookkeeper. I'm all about embracing strengths and really doing what I love and what I'm good at and hiring out the rest. And that's exactly what you are for small business owners. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background, Dennis?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I started out my career in mortgage, actually, a long time ago.
I didn't know that.
I was a residential appraiser for Bank of America for a while back in the 90s. And then, as you know, interest rates went up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I found myself going back to school and looking for something as kind of a backup, really. And so I got into accounting and studied accounting. And so it just started to grow from there. And I've been basically doing bookkeeping and accounting, mostly for small businesses, for about the last 20 years. Just recently, I went back to school and earned my MBA a couple years ago. And so last year, I noticed that, I always wanted to start my own business. So last year, I decided to just kind of jump in and get started with it. But I noticed that there seems to be a point where small businesses, they begin to experience some success and they grow a little bit, and it's almost a little bit too much for the owners or the partners to actually attend to all the necessary functions, of the business. Yet they're not quite big enough yet to actually hire a full-time person.
So what do they do in that situation?
Yeah, so the best thing really is they try and either find, they outsource it to someone, or they try and find usually a part-time person. And it's hard to find a part-time person. Most employees want to get full-time where they can work full-time and then receive benefits and that kind of stuff. So a lot of times, small businesses in that situation, sort of the best answer really is to outsource to a professional firm.
Okay.
That takes care of that for them.
Yeah, I would imagine most entrepreneurs, they definitely are not good at the bookkeeping and managing all of that because they're good at the front end of the business and really hire a strong professional to take care of the back end. So what's the goal and purpose of your business, Dennis?
The goal and the purpose is to help small businesses fill that gap. And that is kind of the challenge, is that they're not really experts in that field. I acquired a client last year, right about July, about the middle of July, and it took me about 5.5 months to clean up their books.
Wow.
Because there were so many things that were just being done wrong.
And that compounds, to where it can be a complete disaster for the business.
It does, yeah. And the difficult part then is when they get down to the end of the year and the small business wants to turn their accounting or their books over to their CPA to do their income tax for the business. If it's such a mess, CPA has to spend so much more time trying to just get things in order for them to do it.
Yes.
And so if you have a good bookkeeper who really understands things, a professional certified bookkeeper, then they can make that process a lot smoother. One of the other things I've noticed too is that as I've talked to certain individuals who have their own small business, sometimes they'll say to me, I have no idea how much cash I even have in my bank account.
Wow.
Because the books are so messed up.
Yeah.
And so that's important, especially for small businesses, because they run so much on cash.
Yeah.
And so it's important to make sure that everything's being recorded properly.
So I can imagine the importance of having a professional bookkeeper, but line that out. And what are the key importance of hiring a professional bookkeeper for a small business?
Yeah, well, I think if you're, for a business owner who is looking for someone, I think there's a couple things that you'd want to look for. You'd want to look for a level of education that they have,
of course,
and maybe I can make a quick mention that I do teach accounting at South Seattle College as well.
Oh, wow, okay.
So my students are obviously the best
yes,
that there is.
Of course. And you've got to be the best if you're teaching other people, and you've got to be up to date on everything that's changing, because everything does change in all industries. So that's got to be key, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Right. So it's having that knowledge, and certifications always help, and then having that experience. And I think one of the big things is that with small businesses, as you mentioned earlier, that it's not their area of expertise,
yes,
but they need to just turn this responsibility over to somebody and make sure that it's being done properly. Make sure that the taxes are being paid on time, the payroll's being done properly,
yeah,
bills are being paid on time. All of that stuff is kind of the engine that keeps businesses running.
Of course. So Dennis, do you see that small business owners outsource for the professional bookkeeping and actually continue to use an outsource even as they grow versus bringing somebody internal in-house? Or how do you know when it's time to progress to that step?
Yeah, that's a tricky point for small businesses. It seems like there is a point where they get a little bit, they get big enough where they could actually bring someone in-house. And that can be a good business decision at that point.
So I would imagine you would probably be one to help them decide when that's the right time, because I would imagine that they've got a pretty close relationship that they've built with you, and they trust you with the most important thing, and that's the financials and the bookkeeping of their company.
Yeah, very much so. I talked with a small legal firm here recently, and I was chatting with them, and they said that they went through this process. They found their bookkeeper, and that bookkeeper's been with them for like 17 years now.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah. So once you get connected with someone that can really do a good job for you, they have a tendency to stay.
Yeah.
With their bookkeeper and their accountant. But as the business does grow, and that is one thing that a professional can help you decide when it's that time to transition over to somebody in-house if that's the direction they want to go.
So how do most employers get a hold of you and in contact with you? Where does your business come from, Dennis?
Yeah, most of my business at this point is just referrals. word of mouth. And the focus that I try and bring is a high level of professionalism and quality, along with more affordability. So right now at this point, it's just me.
Quality and affordability. That's great. That's a nice balance.
And so if I can do that, then hopefully people will then, that I'm working with, then will refer me to others.
Makes sense. So assuming somebody, obviously the biggest mistake that a small business can make, or one of the biggest mistakes, is not making that decision to take the leap and hire somebody professional to take care of the bookkeeping of the business. But by doing that, what is the biggest mistake that you see that they're making by trying to do it on their own? So what area do you see the most challenges coming in for them? I mean, if they don't know how much money they have in their account, there's something wrong going on.
That's a big problem then. Yeah, especially for small businesses. And that I think is part of it, is that if they try and do it on their own but not really understanding it, then it just sort of spirals out of control.
Yeah.
The other part of it that I find is small business owners are doing so much in just trying to attend to their clients that they don't really have the time to spend with it. And that's one of the things that I hear so quite often, is that small business owners will say, this is so time consuming for me. But it's a necessary part that needs to be done.
Yeah. So if you're a small business owner, I mean, I just always weigh everything in how I feel. And if something doesn't make me feel good, I hire it out, because the worst thing is why do we want to work and do what we love to do, to have some other part of it that we're feeling forced that we have to do, bring down our business, bring down our life, add that stress, that procrastination, and then everything compounds. So I don't know why any small business owner would not hire somebody professional to take care of that key part. So Dennis, what does business owner need to know about the accounting and booking or bookkeeping, and should they leave it all up to you, or is there anything as a business owner that they really need to be smart to certain things in that arena?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really important that small business owners are active, involved in understanding their financials, because that is going to be the basis of which they'll be making decisions on. And so it's important for them to understand it, not necessarily to understand it to a point where they need to process it, but understand it to a point where they know it's being done correctly, so that it can be a benefit to their business.
Makes sense.
The other thing I think that's important is that if they do outsource it to someone else, then that frees up their time so that they can focus more on working with their client, providing, being on the revenue side and providing billable time maybe for their client.
Got it. So a small business owner that does have a professional bookkeeper, what are key things, indicators that maybe that's not the right bookkeeper, or they're not doing the company justice? What should you be watching for?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things. Typically, small business owners are pretty in tune with their own business, and so they can tell when they look at things and perhaps maybe the cash is not right, or maybe bills, strange bills, maybe are coming across their desks that they're not really quite familiar with.
Okay.
There will be some basic things that the owners will know that will be an indication that perhaps maybe things aren't working quite right.
So how do you, we were talking about insurance and transitioning. I got a minute. I got to wrap up the show here, Dennis. But do you come in and you look at the books and somebody else is taking care of it and go, you know what, this is not, I mean, how do you make that transition and that important?
Yeah.
I mean, do you go in and do free consultation, or how does that work?
Yeah, I usually sit down with people just to try and determine, sort of assess where they're at and really what their needs are at first. But most of the time, it's to the point where a small business owner, they understand, okay, we've got to make this change. And then that's when I get the call.
Got it.
And then it's usually a significant amount of time and effort to clean up what's already occurred.
I'd imagine. Yeah. Dennis, thank you so much for coming into the studio. Likewise, I'd love to see you back in as well.
Thank you for inviting me.
And this is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Be kind to your friends, be kind to your family, your spouse on this April Fool's Day. Enjoy your Saturday, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you, or I'll talk to you next weekend, same place, same time, right here at 1150 AM KKNW.